It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yep, I would imagine the Boks themselves are doing a lot of that kind of training this week, looking for a little redemption. The World Cup has served up its first major upset and possibly the biggest, I think, in the history of all World Cups, when the Japanese rugby side defeated the Springboks 34-32 in Brighton on Saturday. Joining us in studio, a new member of our Brains Trust here to unpack the drama that unfolded is rugby enthusiast Sigqibo Shoba. Now, thanks again for joining us this morning. I know a very difficult subject to broach when so much emotional investment in a loss. When we look at the overall kickstart to the Rugby World Cup, what did you make of the opening ceremony? What did you make of England's stamp on the Rugby World Cup?
Thanks for having me, Graham. I think, with the World Cup opening, I really enjoyed it. It was quite authentic and it was very English, Yeah. I enjoyed the whole background story or the history of how rugby came about, taking us all the way back to the school in rugby and William Webb Ellis picking up the ball and running with it. I enjoyed the little cameos, the features of the old players and Prince Harry in there as well, showing a bit of acting skills. I really enjoyed it. I thought, going forward, it was quite great.
Yeah, nice English stuff.
It was great that they highlighted, the 20 legends of the countries that are participating in the World Cup. Chester Williams being there for South Africa, getting his moment. So that was really cool to see that.
And I like the fact that Harry also made mention of Francois Pienaar in that. Now, we look at obviously this game that I think all of us are trying to wrap our head around. We've spoken earlier about possibly too many Chiefs and not enough Indians on that field. And when we look at some of our older players versus the performance of some of the younger players and some of those choices, I think one choice that stood out for me, Sia was brought on maybe a little bit too late. We saw Pieter-Steph du Toit being used in a slightly different role. We know him as a lock and an out-and-out jumper, but being used as a flanker. Out of those choices that we saw play out, who would you have liked to have seen brought onto that field maybe a little bit earlier? What do you think went through Heineke's mind?
Well, for me, it was the big question was Pieter-Steph starting at 7 ahead of Sia when Sia was already on the bench, I felt that wouldn't have done too well for Sia's confidence. But Pieter-Steph didn't disappoint. He had a good game, but obviously his fitness isn't there to last a full 80 yet. So yes, Sia may have had a bit more impact had he played a bit longer. Luetiaga, I think, had a strong game at lock, and I mean, he's a guy that people would have thought wouldn't necessarily start a lot of games at this World Cup. I think they should have brought Eben a bit earlier on. We needed an enforcer to carry it up. We need that physicality,
Well, Skalkberger said, they need to now write it off and move on and focus on the game ahead, which they're taking on Samoa next. Now, what do you think Heineke can take from this game?
Well, going forward now, there isn't much we can take from this past game. Going forward, we just have to play our best possible team. No room for sentiment. Pick the best players and play a well-balanced game. I mean, Samoa's going to be very physical. We're going to need a bit more sleight of hand with controlled aggression as well. So skill level needs to be higher up, and we need more intensity going forward.
Yeah, bring on Eben, bring on Villy. I think bring on all the changes. We will undoubtedly see a very different-looking Springbok outfit come the weekend, but undoubtedly our blood still runs green and gold. Is that not so, Kat?